I plunged the knife into his chest not because I hated him, though God knows I did by the end, but because he'd worn my skin like a cheap suit for 3 goddamn years, ruining everything I'd built. The blood that welled up was mine. In a way, warm and familiar from the inside out. And as he gasped his last breath in that sterile motel room off I-95, I whispered, "Welcome home, Ethan." My fiancé's eyes bulged in shock, not from the pain, but from the realization that the woman he'd proposed to under the Rockefeller Center tree wasn't the Mila he thought she was, the one who'd laughed at his dumb jokes and faked orgasms in their king-sized bed.
No.
That was me. The real me. Finally clawing my way back into my own body, ready to burn his empire to the ground. It started with a betrayal so deep it carved out my soul like a pumpkin on Halloween. But let's rewind to that Christmas. The one that cracked the facade wide open. Mom had hauled out the old albums from the attic in our family home in Elmwood, Ohio, quaint little slice of Middle America, where the winters bite harder than the gossip and everyone pretends their picket fences hide skeletons instead of just bad mortgages. Ethan and I were home for the holidays, playing the perfect couple, him, the rising star tech bro from Silicon Valley transplants,
Me,
the sweet Midwestern girl who'd snagged a golden ticket to the coast. We'd just gotten engaged 6 months prior. Rings exchanged over champagne in Napa. The kind of story that makes Insta Reels go viral. But as Mom flipped through those crinkled pages, cooing over baby pics and awkward prom shots, Ethan's face went slack. He stared at a photo from my 8th birthday, me in pigtails, blowing out candles on a cake shaped like a unicorn, surrounded by cousins and that god-awful inflatable castle in the backyard. "They lied," he muttered, voice barely above the crackle of the fireplace. "You weren't there." The room froze faster than the lake out back. Mom chuckled at first, thinking it was one of his techie jokes. The ones about AI deepfakes or whatever bullshit he peddled at his startup. But I saw it in his eyes, the flicker of recognition, the slow dawning dread. Because in that photo, the real Mila was grinning ear to ear, dimples deep as the Grand Canyon, her left incisor chipped from falling off her bike the summer before. The woman sitting next to him now, her smile was all caps.
no dimples.
And that tooth was perfect porcelain, courtesy of a dentist in Palo Alto who'd fixed it after a skiing accident that never happened. Ethan knew, in that gut punch moment, that the fiancée curled against his side wasn't his Mila. She was me, Elena Vasquez, the undocumented shadow who'd scrubbed his toilets and raised his kids while he built his fortune on stolen code and broken promises.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the buried secret. The one festering like roadkill under the summer sun. 3 years ago, I wasn't some ghost in the machine. I was Elena, a 25-year-old Mexican immigrant scraping by in the valley, cleaning houses for cash under the table to send back to my abuela in Juarez. I'd crossed the border at 19 with dreams bigger than the Rio Grande, nursing school, maybe, or community college if the stars aligned. But stars don't shine for people like me. Not when you're dodging IC raids and working double shifts. That's how I ended up at the Vasquez residence. No relation. Just cruel irony. A sprawling McMansion in Atherton where Ethan and his wife,
Mila Grove,
lived like tech royalty. Mila was everything I wasn't. Blonde, Ivy League. The kind of woman who volunteered at soup kitchens for the gram while her husband coded algorithms that gutted jobs like mine. Ethan wasn't just any bro, he was the wunderkind behind NextGen Dynamics. A startup that promised ethical AI but really just harvested data from the vulnerable, folks like me, whose lives were reduced to pixels for profit. I'd been there 6 months, mopping floors and folding tiny socks for their toddler, when I overheard the fight that shattered everything. It was late, the kind of hour where the fog rolls in thick off the bay, muffling screams. Mila was hysterical, accusing Ethan of sleeping with his COO, a sharp-elbowed shark named Victoria Lang. You think I won't find out? I have access to everything, your emails, your goddamn heart rate from that stupid watch. Ethan laughed it off at first, but then came the threat. Go ahead.
Divorce me.
But you'll get nothing. The prenup's ironclad. And I'll bury you in court. Or worse, remember that little side project? The neural mapper? That's when I learned about Project Echo, Ethan's pet experiment hidden in the basement lab. Officially, it was consciousness transfer for medical breakthroughs, uploading minds to beat Alzheimer's or paralysis. Unofficially, it was a Frankenstein wet dream, swapping souls like outfits for the elite who could afford to cheat death or dodge consequences. Mila had been a willing early tester, zapping her brain scans during yoga retreats that were really neural calibrations. But that night, rage-blind, she grabbed a letter opener from the desk and lunged. It was self-defense. She swore later. Ethan had shoved her, hard, against the marble island in the kitchen. The blade caught his shoulder, a shallow gash, but blood sprayed like a bad special effect. And the kid woke up screaming. In the chaos, Ethan saw his out. He called the cops, spun the tale. My wife's unhinged on pills. Probably postpartum. She attacked me.
Mila.
Half delirious from the adrenaline, babbled about the affair, the project, making it worse. The responding officer, a good old boy from the local PD with a grudge against coastal elites, cuffed her on the spot. Domestic assault, resisting arrest. But Ethan didn't stop there. As they hauled her away, he whispered to his lawyer on the line, make it stick. Full custody. Everything. And then, in the quiet that followed, with the kid back asleep and the blood mopped up by some night shift cleaner, not me. Thank God. He turned to Project Echo. One final calibration. He told himself, just a temporary swap to buy time. To discredit her completely. He'd body hop into a witness. Plant evidence. Turn the narrative. But tech glitches, like karma, don't play fair. The neural mapper fritzed mid-transfer. A power surge from the storm rolling in off the Pacific. Ethan's consciousness slammed into the wrong vessel, mine. I was in the guest room, crashing after a 12-hour shift, when the world inverted. 1 second, I'm dreaming of tamales and my abuela's laugh. The next, I'm staring at my own body from across the room, puppet by a man who smells like cologne and contempt.
No.
Wait, that's not right. I was in my body, folding linens, when the machine hummed to life through the vents. A jolt like lightning up my spine, and suddenly, I'm watching me collapse, eyes fluttering open with Ethan's smirk. He sat up, flexed my calloused hands, and laughed a deep, unfamiliar bark. Holy shit. It works. I tried to scream, but my voice, his voice now, trapped in his 6-foot frame, came out as a gurgle. The swap was incomplete, a half-baked horror, his mind in my body, mine in his, but the mappings tangled like headphone cords in a pocket. We could communicate, barely, through echoes in our heads, like bad cell service. He called it symbiosis. I called it hell. For the first week, he kept me, locked in the basement, feeding me protein shakes and platitudes about fixing this. But Ethan Hargrove doesn't fix, he pivots. When the cops came back for statements on Mila's case, He saw opportunity. In my body, he played the loyal housekeeper, tearful testimony about poor Mrs. Hargrove's episodes, how she'd ranted about conspiracies. Even waved that letter opener at me once. She's not right in the head,
sir.
always talking to herself. Saying the walls are listening. Mila rotted in county jail. Then shipped to a psych ward upstate, courtesy of Ethan's lawyers painting her as delusional, a danger to herself and the child. The judge bought it hook,
Line,
and sinker, no bail. Competency hearing in 6 months. Meanwhile, in Ethan's body, I was free, sort of. He paraded me around as the grieving husband, the tech visionary soldiering on. Tragic, the headlines read. NextGen CEO's wife in custody after violent outbursts. I attended board meetings,
signed contracts,
even jerked off in his skin to keep up appearances. Awkward as hell. But survival's a bitch. Our mental link let him coach me. Smile wider. Elena. These VCs eat vulnerability for breakfast. He used my body to seduce Victoria, sealing the affair with boardroom blowjobs, while I played doting dad at preschool pickups. The betrayal cut deepest when I realized he'd framed me, no, us, for his own sins.
See,
NextGen wasn't just data mining, it was laundering code stolen from a rival firm, backdoored into government contracts. A whistleblower, an ex-employee named Raj, had emailed tips to the feds, but Ethan intercepted them via the neural mapper's surveillance hacks. To bury it, he needed a fall guy. Who better than the undocumented maid? In my body. He confessed anonymously to a burner blog. I saw it all. Hargrove's covering up IP theft. And his wife's in on it. Then, a staged suicide attempt. Pills in my apartment. No blaming the lies I kept. Cops ruled it a tragic end to a broken woman.
Case closed.
Raj got spooked, recanted, and NextGen sailed on. Valuation tripling overnight. I suffered for his crime. Yeah, lost my green card shot. My family thinking I'd vanished into the desert. My abuela dying without a goodbye call. But the real gut punch? The kid. Little Sophie. With Mila's dimples and Ethan's cowlick. Calling me daddy while he, in my skin, whispered Spanish lullabies at bedtime. Arlink buzzed with his glee. You're good at this.
Elena.
Ever think about staying? By the time the swap stabilized 2 months in, neural pathways fusing like scar tissue, I was done playing puppet. I'd hacked the mapper's logs during a late-night debug session, learning the reversal code. But Ethan? He adapted, thriving in my anonymity. He ghosted my life, ditched the cleaning gigs, dyed my hair blonde, got contact lenses to match Mila's blue eyes. Became her. The perfect rebound widow, vulnerable, ambitious, climbing NextGen's ranks while I stagnated as the shell-shocked CEO. He proposed to Victoria after a year, but she smelled the shift, too aggressive, too street smart for the old Mila. So he pivoted again, courted me, in a twisted full circle. We can make this work, he said over steak at the grill. His eyes, Mila's eyes, in my old body twinkling with false affection. You're me now.
Elena.
Let's merge companies. And lives. I said yes. Because revenge isn't served hot, it's marinated slow. We moved to Elmwood after the wedding, irony. Right? Back to my roots. His empire remote managed via Starlink. Sophie called him Mommy Mila, and he preened, baking pumpkin pies from Pinterest. Our link faded to whispers, but I nursed the reversal code like a grudge. waiting for the perfect storm. That Christmas, 3 years post-swap, Mom's albums were the spark. Ethan's slip, "You weren't there," confirmed he'd buried the photos. The discrepancies.
To sell the lie.
He panicked that night, after eggnog and carols, cornering me in the garage amid the wreaths and wrapped gifts. "We fix this now." Or I pull the plug, permanently. By plug, he meant the hidden failsafe in the mapper, a kill switch that'd fry one mind to save the other. Of course. I smiled, handed him spiked cocoa, and watched him slump against the snowblower. The drive to that motel was silent, his body my old shell, heavy in the passenger seat.
Now.
As his blood soaks the scratchy comforter, the link flares one last time, Elena.
Please. Sophie.
I lean in, knife still buried to the hilt. Sophie's mine now. And Mila? She's waiting. The reversals cued on my phone, a app disguised as a meditation timer. One tap, and I'm back, me. In me. Him gone to the ether. But first, the calls, cops for the intruder in our home, lawyers for the custody play. Next Gen's board will mourn their founder. Tragic heart attack during a business trip. I'll step up, the grieving widow, with access to every dirty server. The twist, as I hit reverse, the world swims. And suddenly, it's not just him unraveling, it's the whole damn tapestry. Ethan's mind doesn't dissipate. It echoes, fragmenting into mine. Flashes, not just his memories, but Mila's. The real ones. She wasn't the victim. We weren't. The affair? A setup. Victoria was her lover, not his. The attack. Staged together. To frame him for embezzlement, cashing out the company before the feds closed in. Project Echo?
Mila S. Brenkild.
Tested on me because I was expendable, her idea to swap and vanish with the kid and the loot. Ethan found out. I tried to stop it, but the machine glitched, swapping us instead. He took my body to expose her, but Elena had been groomed, unknowingly, fed doubts via planted notes. The whistleblower?
Mila.
Through proxies. The truth reverses like a bad trip. I wasn't the innocent maid, I was the pawn in her game, suffering for her crime. Ethan's revenge was mine by proxy.
Now.
As his essence bleeds into me, I feel her watching from the psych ward, piecing it together via smuggled news clips. The door to the motel creaks. Cops? No.
Victoria.
Eyes cold as the December wind. You finally did it.
Mila.
But the board knows. And Sophie? She's got my last name now. I laugh. Blood bubbling on my lips. Wait. His lips? The swap's inverting. Mine's collapsing.
Ami Elena.
Ethan? Or the ghost of Mila's ambition. The sirens wail closer. And in that debatable end, hero, villain, or casualty, I choose the shot. One bullet. Self-inflicted. Because some empires crumble best from within. Merry fucking Christmas. The reversal hit like a freight train derailing in slow motion. Synapses firing in reverse as Ethan's last gasp echoed in my skull. I was back in my body curled on the motel carpet, the knife clattering from fingers that felt too small, too scarred from years of bleach and betrayal. The air stank of copper and cheap pine cleaner, the kind they use in dives like this to mask the ghosts of bad decisions. My chest heaved, not from the kill, but from the flood, memories crashing like waves on Monterey. his and mine tangling until I couldn't tell where the maid ended and the mogul began. Sophie's first steps in the boardroom kid-proofed high-rise, my abuela's rosary beads clutched during border runs, Mila's manicured nails typing the code that doomed us all. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, flipping on the buzzing fluorescent. There I was, dark hair matted, brown eyes wild, that chipped tooth winking like an old friend.
Elena Vasquez.
28 going on ancient. But the reflection lied. 2. Ethan's cologne clung to my skin, his broader shoulders aching under this frame. 3 years of his habits had warped me. I stood taller, laughed sharper, even craved IPAs over horchata. The link was severed, mostly, but phantoms lingered, his fear, her ambition, a cocktail of psyches that made my hands shake as I dialed 911. There's been a break-in, I gasped, voice cracking just right.
My
husband. Oh God. He's hurt bad. The cops bought it. Of course. Small-town Jersey blues. More interested in the snowstorm forecast than forensics. Looks like a robbery gone south.
Mom.
You okay? The lead. A grizzled vet named Kowalski with a mustache like a 70s porn star. Eyed the scene. Ethan's body sprawled. Wallet emptied. Phone smashed. No prints but mine gloved. From this struggle, Victoria arrived 20 minutes later, screeching tires on black ice, her Tesla gleaming like a predator in the lot. She was all Lululemon and Louboutins, the kind of woman who weaponized Pilates for power plays. Elena, she hissed, shoving past the tape. What the fuck did you do? We'd never been close, me as the help, her as the side piece turned CFO, but the swap forged weird intimacies. I'd worn Ethan's skin during their romps, feeling her nails rake his back while he puppeteered my confessions in whispers.
Now.
In the fluorescent hum of the station, over styrofoam coffee that tasted like regret, she laid it out. Mila's out. Posted bail this morning, some bleeding heart lawyer pro bono. She's coming for Sophie. The company. Everything. And you? You're the maid who murdered the CEO. Congrats. You're front page fodder. The drive back to Elmwood was a blur of taillights and talk radio ranting about border walls and tech taxes, America's favorite Christmas carols. Mom's house loomed like a Norman Rockwell fever dream. Lights strung on the eaves. A wreath on the door that screamed family first. Inside, the tree drooped under ornaments heavy with history, Sophie's first. Handmade from next-gen swag, mine. A clay handprint from kindergarten, chipped like my tooth. Mom hugged me tight, smelling of cinnamon and worry. Ethan's folks called, said something about a meeting gone wrong. You alright, Mija? She'd never fully bought the swap charade, always slipping into Spanglish endearments that made Mila bristle. Sophie was asleep upstairs, thumb in mouth, unicorn jammies rumpled. I sat on the edge of her bed, stroking that cowlick, and the dam broke. Not tears, rage. Hot as jalapenos in July. This kid, with her sticky fingers and endless questions, why's mommy yelling at daddy on the phone? Was the one pure thing in the mess. Mila had birthed her. Ethan raised her, sort of. And I'd loved her in stolen moments, reading Goodnight Moon in a voice that wasn't mine. Now, custody wars loomed like thunderheads over the Rockies. Victoria crashed the family brunch the next day, technically Christmas Eve, but grief protocols be damned. She swept in with takeout from that overpriced bistro in Columbus, bearing gifts wrapped in metallic paper that screamed, "Fuck you. We're better." Dad grunted approval at the charcuterie. Mom side-eyed the kale salad like it was poison. Sophie lit up. Auntie Vic. Climbing into her lap for stories about Silicon Valley unicorns, literal and figurative. Over mulled wine. Victoria dropped the bomb. The board's invoking the morality clause. Ethan's death, under investigation, triggers a full audit.
Mila S. climbing sabotage.
Says you two were colluding. Colluding. The word hung like tinsel, glittering with lies. I laughed, a bark that echoed Ethan's, and poured another round. Let her come. I've got the logs, Project Echo's black box, buried in the cloud. But bluffing's a high-wire act, and my wire was frayed. The mapper's data was encrypted in Ethan's head, now mine. Fragmented. Flashes came unbidden. Late nights in the lab. Mila's voice silky over the intercom. Push the thresholds.
Ethan.
Immortality's just a swap away. She'd recruited me unwittingly. Slipping neural tags into my cleaning supplies, scented with transmitters. Dosing me for the test. For science, she'd cooed, handing me the bonus check. Betrayal squared, not just stolen life, but volunteered into the grave. That afternoon, as snow blanketed the cul-de-sac in virgin white, I slipped out to the old barn behind the house, Dad's man cave of rusted tools and faded Packers posters. My phone buzzed, unknown number. A text with coordinates to a diner off Route 23. We need to talk. Heart hammering like a jackrabbit. I drove. Wipers slapping rhythm against the flurries. The diner was pure Americana. Chrome stools. Jukebox crooning Patsy Cline. Waitress named Betty calling everyone Han. Mila waited in a booth by the window. Blonde hair tucked under a beanie. Looking less like a villain and more like a fugitive, pale. Eyes ringed with the kind of exhaustion that comes from straitjackets and stale bread. You're not Elena, she said flatly, stirring sugar into black coffee.
No hello. No Halloween.
Just that. Like she'd known all along. I slid in opposite, ordering fries to buy time, salt and grease. The comfort of the working class. And you're not the victim. Spill it.
Mila.
Why me? Why the kid? She leaned in, voice a whisper over the sizzle of the grill. Ethan was bleeding us dry, diverting funds to his ethics facade while Victoria siphoned offshore. I needed out.
Clean.
The swap was insurance, me in a new shell. You as the Patsy-made test subject. Low risk. High reward. But he hacked it. The bastard. Reversed the flow. Trapped me in that ward with lithium fog and therapy circles. Her eyes hardened, the blue icing over like a frozen lake. You? Collateral. But now he's dead. And the money's mine, unless you talk. The controversial decision hit then. Fork midway to my mouth. Kill her? Expose her?
Or join.
She slid a napkin across, numbers scribbled. A Cayman account fat with pilfered millions. Sophie's yours if you sign. We vanish, new lives.
No strings.
Temptation nod. Dark as the booth's vinyl cracks. America. Land of second chances.
Right?
But the kid's face flashed, trusting, dimpled, and I saw the lie. Mila's game was eternal. She'd swap again. Leave us husks. I nodded.
Fini une alliance.
And that night, back in Elmwood, I prepped the trap. The barn held Dad's old .22, oiled and loaded from deer season. Victoria got the call. Mila's coming for Sophie. Midnight. The lake house. Divide and conquer. American as apple pie and Civil War. As the clock ticked toward 12, tension coiled like barbed wire in my gut. This was the build, the dark underbelly of suburbia. where holiday lights hid switchblades. Midnight found the lake house shrouded in fog off Lake Erie, the kind that swallows screams and spits back echoes. It was our family getaway, pebbled shore, creaky dock, a A-frame cabin stuffed with mothballed quilts and memories of 4th of July barbecues.
I texted Mila coordinates.
Victoria, a heads up. And now I waited in the shadows of the porch. .22 too heavy in my coat pocket, breath fogging like a ghost sigh. The wind off the water carried the distant hum of semis on I-90, a lifeline to the world beyond this frozen purgatory. Sophie was safe with Mom. Tucked in with Coco and Rudolph on loop, this was adult business. The kind that ends in headlines or hushed settlements. Victoria arrived first, headlights cutting the mist like accusatory fingers. She killed the engine, stepped out in boots that crunched virgin snow. A Beretta peeking from her waistband, Silicon Valley chic meets Wild West. This better be good. Elena. The feds are sniffing, SEC tipped off about the laundered code. Her breath was Minnie, eyes scanning the trilene like a hawk. I stepped into the light, hands raised. It's Mila. She's got proof, echo files. The works. Wants a meat to split the pot. She snorted, holstering loose. That bitch. Always one step ahead, even in a psych ward. We moved inside. The cabin's hearth cold. Dust motes dancing in our flashlight beams.
Victoria Paced.
All kinetic energy. Recounting the saga like a pitch deck. How Mila recruited her for the affair as cover. How Ethan's paranoia birthed the swap as a counter-espionage tool. He thought I was the leak. Joked about hopping into my body to understand the enemy. Creep. Laughter died quick. Headlights pierced the windows. Mila's rental sedan purring to a stop. She entered like she owned the place, shedding her parka to reveal a cashmere sweater that screamed old money. No gun. Just a tablet under arm, glowing with decrypted files. Ladies, she drawled, American as a TED Talk. Or should I say, survivors? The three of us formed a tense triangle in the living room, floorboards groaning under unspoken weights. Mila laid it out, the full betrayal, her masterstroke. Ethan was skimming from day one. Next gen's valuation? Smoke and mirrors. I built the core AI. Patented it quietly. The swap? My exit strategy. Elena was the dry run, you.
Beak.
The distraction. Victoria's face twisted rage. Yes. But hurt. Raw as a server crash. You used me. Slept with me while plotting to ghost.
Mila shrugged. Queenly.
Love's a variable.
Darling.
Optimizable. That's when the controversy ignited. Mila's offer. A three-way split. 20 mil each.
Sophie to me.
Next gen dissolved into shellcore. We walk away heroes or ghosts. If you fight. I felt the pull. Dark tide of temptation. Millions could buy a life, new name.
Coastal bungalow.
Therapy for the fractured mind. No more scrubs or boardrooms, just horchata sunrises and Sophie's giggles. But Ethan's echo stirred. She's poison. Always was. I glanced at Victoria, her finger twitching near the Beretta. The decision loomed. As the cabin shadows. Shoot first, negotiate, or flip the script. Proof, I demanded, nodding at the tablet.
Mila's mirkt.
Unlocking it. Logs.
Timestamps.
My neural scans labeled subject. Disposable. Rage boiled. But I played cool.
Stalling.
One condition. The kid stays out.
No swaps.
No games. She agreed. Too quick, red flag waving. As she turned to pour celebratory bourbon from the sideboard,
Victoria Land.
chaos erupted, glass shattering. Mila spinning with a hidden derringer. The .22 barking from my pocket. Bullets whined. Splintering pine paneling, I dove behind the sofa. Heart slamming like bass at a Coachella set. Victoria took a graze to the shoulder. Cursing in Mandarin, her secret weapon. A polyglot edge Ethan envied. Mila fired wild, shattering a lamp that sparked flames in the dry curtains. "You traitorous cunt," she shrieked, voice cracking the Ice Queen facade. I rose, firing true, grazing Mila's leg, sending her sprawling.
Victoria Ponce.
Wrestling the derringer away. But Mila fought dirty, nails raking, knee to the gut. They rolled, a tangle of limbs and lies, until I yanked them apart, gun-trained. Enough. This ends now. The fire crackled, smoke acrid as silicon dreams burning. Mila laughed through bloodied lips. Ends? Honey, it's just rebooting. She tapped her watch, a smartwatch, upgraded with Echo Tech. Failsafe. One pulse. And we're all ghosts in the machine. The tension peaked, air thick as the fog outside. Controversial choice. Trust her? Kill the source? Or embrace the madness? Sirens wailed distant. Neighbors, 911. No doubt.
Victoria Buesed.
Do it.
Elena.
For Sophie. Mila's eyes pleaded. Not with fear, but calculation.
Join me, they said.
We're the same, stolen lives. Stolen power. The dark pull won. Momentarily, I lowered the gun. Upload it. All of it, the files. The truth. Public domain. Her finger hovered, then pressed. The watch beeped. Data flooded the net, WikiLeaks style.
Next chance since sladbare, theft.
Manipulation. The swap horrors. Stocks tanked in after hours. Alerts buzzed our phones like angry bees. Victory? Or Pyrrhic?
Mila's wild.
Wicked.
See?
We're free. But as flames licked higher, Victoria grabbed my arm. Trap. And Mila's watch pulsed again. Not data, a signal. The cabin's outlet sparked, echo relays. Hidden in walls during Renas. Neural surge hit like a taser orgy, minds blurring, bodies convulsing. I blacked out to visions, Mila's Yale graduation, Victoria's Juilliard auditions, Ethan's foster home beatings. Woke to ash and ambulances, bodies separated, but psyches scarred.
Mila cast.
Babbling about glitches, Victoria medevaced. Shoulder stitched.
Me?
Hero of the hour. Saving colleagues from a freak fire. But the twist nod. Was the upload real? Or decoy? As dawn broke over the lake, pink as a fresh wound, I pocketed Mila's watch. Revenge's high was fleeting. The real war was digital. And I was armed now. Back in Elmwood. Mom brewed coffee strong as resolve. Sophie hugged my legs. Mommy's home. Oblivious. Victoria texted from the hospital. Boards fracturing. Your move. The tension simmered. A pot about to boil over. Next gen teetered. Feds circling like vultures at a roadkill feast. My decision, dismantle or hijack. The heart of America pulsed. Opportunity in ruin. Power in the pivot. The days post-fire blurred into a fever of depositions and denial. The kind of American nightmare where lawyers bill by the heartbeat and truth bends like a funhouse mirror. Elmwood's quiet shattered under media siege, CNN drones buzzing like hornets. Locals gawking from snow-dusted lawns, whispering about that valley voodoo in the swap scandal. I barricaded in Mom's basement, a bunker of canned soup and case files. Sophie coloring superheroes upstairs while I decrypted Mila's watch. It wasn't just a ticker, it was a portal, Echo's mobile node, humming with ghost data. Ethan's algorithms whispered through it, guiding my hacks like a digital Ouija. Breach the servers. Expose the rot. Victoria recovered quick. Discharged to a safe house in Cleveland, penthouse view of the lake. Guarded by private dicks on Ethan's dime. She called daily. Voice husky from painkillers. The board's panicking, stocks in freefall. Mila's lawyered up, spilling half-truths to the Times. Says you orchestrated the swap for immigrant revenge. Laughter cracked. Bitter as black coffee. Play her game, Elena. Or we burn it all. Her offer tempted. Co-CEO her. Split the salvage. But trust? Shatter-prone as the cabin's remnants. The antagonist loomed largest in Mila, cunning as a fox in a henhouse. Powerful from the ward's payphone. Her leaks were surgical. Anonymous drops to ProPublica about neural slavery, framing Ethan as the mad scientist. Me as complicit maid-turned mall. Public opinion swung wild. Free Mila trended on X. Blue-check activists decrying tech bro colonialism. Protests popped in the valley. Bonfires of hard drives. Meanwhile, Sophie asked innocent questions. Why's everyone mad at Daddy's work? That gutted me deeper than any blade. I decided controversial. Infiltrate. Using the watch, I spoofed credentials, Elena's ghost in the machine, slipping past firewalls like a shadow at a rave. Next Gen's core revealed horrors, not just theft, but human trials, undocumented test subjects zapped in basement labs, minds mapped for efficiency training. My scan was there. Labeled success, low socioeconomic yield. Rage-fueled code dives by New Year's. I'd siphon terabytes, proof of Mila's patents. Victoria's offshore slush. Ethan's kill switches. But the deeper I dug, the more the psyches bled, flashes of Mila's abortions, career necessities. Victoria's addictions, pills to code through nights. My own border horrors, coyotes and cholera. Abuela's fevered goodbye. Climax brewed in a neutral site summit, abandoned warehouse off the Rust Belt fringes. Detroit's shadow where deals die quiet. Mila arrived chauffeured. Ankle monitor beeping like a bomb timer. Victoria in tactical chic. Me with the .22 tucked and watch pulsing. Neutral ground. Arbitrated by a fixer named Rocco, ex-Fed. Now mercenary for the morally gray.
No recordings.
No weapons shown, he growled, patting us down. The space echoed. Rusted beams. Pallets of forgotten auto parts. Wind whistling through cracked panes. Mila started, poised as a Senate hearing. Ladies, let's monetize the mess. Sell Echo to pharma. Billions for therapeutics. Elena gets amnesty. Sophia trust.
Beak.
You run ops. Victoria scoffed. And you? Queen of the uploads. Mila's smile was serpent smooth. Exile. Paris.
Perhaps.
I've always fancied the Louvre. The pitch hung. Seductive, capitalism's cure-all. Turning trauma to treasure. But I saw the hook. Her exile a feint. Watch clones seeding swaps worldwide. Tension ratcheted as Rocco stepped out for a smoke, his signal for handle your shit. Victoria drew first. Not gun but tablet. Your accounts.
Mila.
Drained to zero this morning.
Mila Paled.
Then laughed, manic. echoing off-girders. Cute. But you forget, Echo links us. She tapped her bracelet, twin to the watch, and pain lanced my skull. Visions assaulting. Sophie's birth. My Juarez farewell. Victoria's overdose attempt. We dropped. Writhing. Minds merging in a cacophony of regrets. I fought through. Crawling to the pallet's edge. Fingers brushing a loose rebar. Controversial swing. Bash her? Or sink? The high point crested as I lunged. Rebar cracking against her bracelet. Sparks flying. Link severing with a psychic snap.
Mila screamed.
Real this time. Clutching her wrist as data hemorrhaged. Echo's core code spilling to the cloud. Open source apocalypse. Victoria rose. Coughing. And zip-tied her. It's over, she rasped. But Mila's eyes gleamed. Unbowed. Is it? The truth's out, but whose? Sirens again. Rocco's betrayal. Or insurance. We bolted. Warehouse ablaze behind. Code burning bright online. Hackers worldwide forked it. Swaps for the masses. Ethical or end times. Back in Elmwood. Feds knocked polite. MS. Vasquez. A word. Amnesty dangled. Witness protection whispered. Sophie baked cookies with Mom. Oblivious to the storm. The build peaked in quiet confrontation. Victoria at my door. Snow melting in her hair. We could rule the remnants, she urged. Or let it crash. My choice. Torch it. I handed her the watch, smashed under heel. No more gods. But as she drove off, doubt crept. Was this victory? Or just another layer peeled? The fallout cascaded like dominoes in a wind tunnel. NextGen's empire crumbling in a spectacle of subpoenas and stock plunges that made Wall Street weep. Elmwood became ground zero for the circus. FBI vans idling curbside. Reporters camping in the diner. Locals split between Go Elena, yard signs and whispers of wetback witch. I navigated it numb. Sophie my anchor, her tiny hand in mine during walks to the frozen pond, where we'd skim stones and pretend the world wasn't unraveling. Mom fortified with tamales and tequila shots. Dad grumbling Fox News takes on AI Armageddon. But nights? Sleepless marathons. Ethan's echoes haunting dreams, his laugh in boardrooms. Mila's in bedrooms. My own screams from the mapper's hum. Victoria vanished into the ether. A ghost in witness relos. Rumors placed her in Vancouver, seeding a startup on benevolent swaps for the paralyzed. Her last text, we burned bright. Don't forget.
Mila?
Trial of the decade. Splashed across Vanity Fair, the swap queen, painted tragic anti-heroine by high-priced PR. She took no plea, monologuing in court about neural equity, turning the bench into her TED stage. Jurors hung, half-seeing visionary, half-sociopath, mistrial after mistrial, until a deal, 20 years,
Supermax.
with therapeutic access to deprogrammed echo tech. Poetic. In a debatable way, locked in her body. Mind unchained but caged.
Me?
The improbable victor.
Hors pâtisserie encore?
Amnesty came via green card lottery irony, expedited for national security contributions. NextGen's ashes birthed nonprofits, my foundation. Vasquez voices. Funneling grants to immigrant coders. Neural ethics watchdogs. Sophie thrived. Dimples deepening. Asking fewer questions as therapy sessions painted pretty pictures of Daddy's long trip. But the buried secret festered. That final twist. The reversal I'd glimpsed in the warehouse blaze.
Mila esse parting whisper.
As Vic dragged her away. You think you're free? Check the kid's eyes. It hit over Easter brunch. 4 months post-fire, ham glazing in Mom's oven, daffodils nodding in the yard like conspirators.
Sophie.
Mid-bite of deviled egg, locked gazes with me. Blue flickered in her brown irises, not trick of light, but implant glow. Echo's legacy, a neural tag from birth. Mila's insurance. The kid wasn't just blood, she was beta, mind-mapped for future swaps. Horror coiled. Had I killed her father only to orphan a sleeper? Or was it gift? Genius encoded. Waiting to bloom? The decision loomed. Ultimate controversy. Excise it? Embrace? I consulted shadows. Echo texts and dive bars. Whispering of reversal risks. Amnesia. Psychosis. Sophie dreamed vivid. Spoken code snippets at 5. Mommy. The clouds are algorithms. Debatable happy end. Nurture the anomaly. Raise a hybrid queen. Or tragic, the shot. Merciful blank in her future. America, after all, devours its prodigies. In the end, I chose ambiguity, the gray that fuels forum fights and barstool philosophies. We moved west. A bungalow in Taos. Adobe walls warding digital ghosts. Sophie sculpted clay circuits. I wrote the memoir, Swapped Souls, A Maid's Revenge, topping charts. Sparking Senate hearings. Victoria surfaced once. A postcard, she's the future. We were the beta.
Mila.
Letters from lockup. Philosophical rants. Bodies are rentals. Elena. Rent wisely. As sunsets bled red over desert mesas. Sophie and I hiked arroyos. Her hand warm. Eyes hybrid sparks. Was it redemption? Curse? The revenge complete? Or eternally looping? You decide, hero's triumph or villain's echo. In this dark American tapestry, the threads tangle. And the weave, that's the eternal debate.